Hi everybody! Today I am sitting here waiting for my son to get off of work, and it is a muggy, beautifully foggy day, and it's making me think about what's to come, which is a winter garden. Did you know that you could plant a garden that will provide you food even to into the spring? It is amazing. There are plants that prefer to grow in the cold than the summer. There's a whole long list I have written down right here on my paper that I will share with you at the end of this video. But first, let's discuss what you can do to plan your garden so that you can grow some delicious food in the winter. Number one, timing is key. You need to get those plants in early enough so that they are at full maturity by the time the cold weather starts. Plants really stop growing when our days get shorter than 10 hours. So after that, they're not going to grow and thrive anymore. You can still harvest off of them and they still will survive, but after your days are shorter than 10 hours, yeah, they're not you have to have them mature by then. But if you have them at maturity by that time in your season, you're good. You can have fresh greens into January and March. It's pretty amazing. What do you do to get that to happen besides timing? You also need to make sure that you have good placement. They need to be put in a place where they're going to get the most sun possible. This is to help warm up the soil and warm up their gorgeous leaves so that they can bring in and do photosynthesis. This is a key point. Now, in the winter, our days are shorter and our nights are longer, and the sun is a little less intense because as the earth travels around the sun, the axis of the earth is tilted, so the waves of the sun hit the earth at a different angle. In the summer, it's coming more straight from up above us at a 90-degree level angle, hitting the earth. In the winter, it appears from our location on the planet to be coming from the south. And so you want to place all your plants you can on a southern slope, or at least pay attention to the long shadows created from fences and trees and things around your yard that will affect your garden. So most sun possible. The other thing that's really important is in placement is know where your wind is coming from. Do you realize that wind is actually more devastating to your garden than even the cold? It's the wind chill. When the wind blows on those plants, they will take them out. I've had plants growing in a sheltered area just fine when everything else was windblown and destroyed. So my point, wind hurts more than cold. So make sure that you have your plants protected from the wind. How can you do that? One, placement. Know where your wind's coming from and maybe put a wind block. It can be protection through a fence, some other plants, some trees. Okay, so south slope, protected from the wind, and starting it on a timely manner. Those are the three most important things when starting a winter garden. Now, let's talk about extensions. You can extend your growing season on either side by providing protection. The easiest, cheapest, most inexpensive thing you can do is to get some cloth from your lawn store. I have some in the shed I haven't pulled out yet. And honestly, I'm not pulling it out today. But it's just a white cloth, and you lay it on your garden. You just lay it on top of your beds, and you can help keep the light frost off your vegetables, and it does decently. It allows for airflow. It allows light to come in. It allows some moisture to get in there. So it's a good first step. Now, the second thing you can do is to step it up just a little bit and create hoops. To the dollar store and buy hula hoops and cut them, and then create a hoop over your raised bed. And on a later video, I will show you guys how to do that. You can also use cow panels like that. You can use something like that, put it over your bed, put the plastic over it, and you create yourself a little mini greenhouse. You can also do it on a lower level where it's only a couple feet off of the ground. The most expensive way to do it is to build a greenhouse or a polytunnel. Polytunnels are basically giant, long greenhouses made out of plastic and pipes. And Bootstrap Farmer seems to have the best deal for that I've seen. And they work well. I mean, industrial-sized farms use them on a regular basis. You do have to have ventilation, and that can be as easy as making it so that you can roll up the bottoms or put a little box thing on the top. The other way is the traditional greenhouse made out of glass. But it's gorgeous, but it's a lot more expensive. So those are your two expensive ideas. The other thing is to do a cold frame. In a cold frame, you take a piece of wood, you build it out, you put a glass on top of it, and you can be growing even your more tender greens all the way through the winter. It is pretty awesome. But they can get expensive as well. I picked up a couple of fireplaces fronts from a construction site that they were remodel, and we built a frame box for it. It's not that hard. That's measured out to the same size, and it's got the prettiest cold box you've ever seen. And you want to have it tilted to the south so that it can get more sun into it to help your plants, and you can open and close it and ventilate it if you have warmer days. Because one thing we have is it can be 30 degrees and all week long, and then next week 90 degrees. We have no real winter or spring, summer, fall. It's just summer and occasional cold weather. So that brings us to, what am I talking about plants that actually like the cold weather? What plants prefer cold weather? These are low cold tolerant plants. These are plants that kind of prefer the warmth, do good in the cold, but you're not going to be able to leave them out whenever once it's frost. You have lettuce, you have chicory, you have broccoli, you have cilantro, you have radishes. Oh, radishes taste so good once they've been touched with frost. They become more flavorful. They're delicious if they get a little bit of frost on them, and they only take 20 to 30 days. Bok choy, celery, they all like to have, they can be touched by a light frost. A heavy frost might be taking them out, but they can still grow. Broccoli, all that stuff, that is stuff that you're going to want to at least put a row cover on. But they can grow into the winter as long as they're covered. If you have them underneath your little mini hoop, perfect. Then you have ones that do even better and might not need quite as much protection. Those would be your Chinese cabbage, your sorrel, your carrots, your parsnips, salad greens, kale, spinach, kohlrabi, collards. I have actually, with kale, gone out, knocked off some snow, and picked them up. Now here's one thing about these guys. you will have a frost and you will think all of my plants are gone. I don't have any more plants because of the frost. They're all dead. There's no way. They're all dead. I'm just devastated. It's gone. You checked them up, beginning in the morning, there was a frost, you forgot to cover, I'm devastated. I've done it. I've been so devastated. Come back in the afternoon to pull out my crops and get it together. And all of a sudden realize that all those leaves that I thought were gone look beautiful. That's the miracle of these plants, is that they don't necessarily love the cold, but they work with the cold. And you can even store your carrots in your ground. I don't know if it would work where your ground freezes solid, but up until that point, I know that you can store carrots in the ground and they get sweeter. They're delicious. Some of the best carrots in the world grow in Alaska. Like, they are just so sweet and delicious. So think about it. Okay, so then you have those that actually prefer cold and will thrive. Now for the ones that seem to thrive in the cold. We're talking about turnips. Turnips you can store throughout the winter, come back in the spring, and that's when they taste the best. They taste sweeter and more delicious. Cabbage works well. Most of your brassicas, if you notice, are on this list. Brussels sprouts. You actually have to start your Brussels sprouts in July, but they also don't like the heat. So it's kind of a weird thing, which involves the timing. A lot of these plants don't thrive in heat. And one thing we have in Oklahoma is that it is finally 87 degrees today. The high today is 87 degrees. We're in late September. In fact, I lost total control of my garden because it was too hot to come out. We were 100 degrees. And that was the time period that you're supposed to start your winter gardens. So best way to do this is to start them inside like you would during the spring, to keep them from getting too hot. That, or in a semi-shaded area that can come out to the high sun area later. And this would be the time to start transplanting your plants. This is the time to get your plants into the ground so that you can have your winter garden. And I can tell you, nothing is more amazing than having a family dinner in November and saying, I will bring the greens. I'm bringing greens I'm picking this morning to the family dinner. It is so fun. It is just so fun. So really give it a try. Grow your greens. Remember, timing is key, placement, and those plants that really like the cold. And then it is amazing because you will be having your healthy garden vegetables year round. You guys have a beautiful day. Enjoy your gardening. Enjoy your life.